Okay.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome to another edition of the Jim and Jake Show, right? Otherwise known as the Lav Epstein Hitting Podcast. Episode 82 today, Mechanical Breakdown Series, Volume 19, breaking down the swing of Marcus Semien, who was a free agent, not anymore, though. He's now with the Texas Rangers, and he really cashed in because he bet on himself. So there's a lesson in that in life. Bet on yourself, as my professionally evaluated, successful business owner, former coach, friend, and co-host always does, Jake Epstein, always betting on himself.
You do. That's how you get the best out of yourself.
Right. And that's what Marcus Semien did. And that's why we're breaking down his swing today, although he's not a free agent anymore, which kind of stinks. But oh well, we're still breaking down that lovely swing that he has that produced some of the best career traditional and analytical numbers that I found on Baseball Savant here. You were saying something, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm all wired today.
No, I was just saying we can figure out if it was a good deal or not.
Mm-hmm. Well, so in your 30s, you go into your 30s, you're on the wrong side of 30, and teams start to look at that as a negative, which is amazing. The dichotomy between sports and real life, it's so different, isn't it? Because when you reach your 30s, you're still considered very young, but when you're in any other sport, you're considered on the wrong side of 30, right. Air quotes, all of a sudden you're an old man. Really, It really does a real mind fuck to you on a daily basis for athletes anyway.
Yeah. It is 27, 28, you're in your prime, but if you're an entrepreneur, a professional, or you had a job, the 20s, you're still trying to figure stuff out, and then you start to mature when you're in your 30s. So
some of us do.
Yeah. So be an athlete, make a ton of money in your 20s and early 30s, and then you can do whatever you want when you get
now. You always advocate for like a guy like Bo Bichette to retire at 35. But see, he has his whole life ahead of him, though, at that point.
Right.
So what's he going to do?
Real estate, travel, help other ball players.
He spent a lot of time traveling for his job.
But you're going to the same spot all summer long. Like spend time with your family. That's the tough part about being a baseball player. I just actually ran into, when I was in Texas, Brooks Raley, who's a reliever. He just signed a new deal with the Tampa Bay Rays. Actually, he's one of your left-handed relievers. And so I was on a walk down there the other morning, and I bumped into him and his kids. And, he was just saying, the summers, it's nice. My kids are young and they can come hang out with me in Tampa, this season. But, as you get older, it's, your kids get older, they're in high school. You don't really see your kids, in the summer. So those players, when they get that time, if they can make hay and get out when they're somewhat young, they get to spend more time with their kids. And I think that's a big part because of summers, right? I mean, kids are off in the summer, but you're working every summer, every year for, 10, 15 years. And I think guys that get out, I mean, you see it, not all the time, but remember LaRoche, Adam LaRoche was like, he wanted to bring his kid in the clubhouse and hang out with him during the summer, and ended up leading to him retiring because they wouldn't allow for it. You have guys like the player we had here in Colorado who came from Ian Desmond, Ian Desmond's like, I'm good. I got other things that I want to do. So sometimes, the luxury.
2020 accelerated his retirement.
Absolutely. And,
although he is still listed as a free agent, by the way, among center fielders. Yeah. So I don't think he's officially retired.
He's really into his own thing. He's got some charities and programs that he's heavily involved in. And I think that's great. But for guys that bloom a little bit later, play as long as you can.
Are you a late bloomer?
Everybody's gonna. What's that?
Are you a late bloomer?
Yeah, I'm a late bloomer. Still waiting for that big contract.
That big break, right? Baseball break, I should say. Playing break. Next week we're doing Chris Bryant. That'll be volume 20 of our Mechanical Breakdown series. Chris Bryant currently still a free agent. There was news out there that was floated, I think last week. We didn't get a chance to touch on it, that he possibly might be coming into your neck of the woods next year, signing with the Colorado Rockies, who seemingly are interested for whatever reason in Chris Bryant. They're also interested in retaining Trevor Story as well. That would make a pretty good left side of the infield. How do you think Bryant will do in Colorado, though?
You know what? Colorado's an easy place to play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's no media stress. There's not a lot of pressure. Your team's not, expected to go to the playoffs every year. Maybe there's the general manager thinks that, but they just put a product on the field that competes, a little bit. The altitude, you hit the ball goes 10% further. It's a big field, so the gaps are big. You're gonna hit. Like if you want to have big numbers, this is not a place to shy away from. It's a pretty good place to hit. So
yeah.
And the weather's great in the summer. You don't get beat down by heat. There's things to do. It's a great outdoor state if he likes to fish or he likes to hunt. A lot of guys will retire here, so I think he would truly enjoy being here, unless he wants to be on a contender. Unfortunately, the Rockies are going to have a hard time contending in the National League West. They just the other three teams are spending a lot of money, making their clubs better. And the Rockies really haven't done that, and so it's going to be tough to compete with the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres. It's just tough.
Yeah.
You gotta find a way to compete, either in an elite farm system or you're gonna have to go out and spend money. And I don't think either of those are really happening in the short term here in Colorado.
Well, next week we're going to be breaking down Chris Bryant, and we'll do a retrospect sort of his career and kind of look at the future, peek into where he might sign, and of course if F would sign him. I think I know the answer to that. Don't say it though. Got to save it for episode 83 next week. By the way, when you were talking to Brooks Raley, did he mention anything about the lockout? I almost said lockdown. The lockout, did he say, hey, we're almost there, or hey, we're not going to play this year, or I don't know, or hey,
no,
I don't care?
He really didn't go that far. It was more about the DH and it just seems like everybody's making enough money that it'll be a little bit about money, but it's a lot about the other things, with I can't think of them off the top of my head, but the DH and the expanded playoff stuff and the expanded playoff money and
not for
it,
by the way. Not for it.
What's that?
Not for expanded playoffs.
Yeah,
not for
so
it.
long.
I don't.
If you want to do a 150 game season, maybe that helps out, a little bit. But that's a long year for
I don't like.
Involved.
I don't like this idea of everybody makes the playoffs. This participation trophy playoffs. I don't like it. I think that's what really hinders hockey and the interest in their postseason. And I think the NHL should have changed that a long time ago. And I hope baseball doesn't go that route. I hate that the NFL has done it now too, adding that extra playoff team. But at the end of the day, we all know it's about that TV money.
Yeah, it is. Playoffs are more fun to watch. The problem is, with football players play. I mean, hockey players don't, but football players, they play 17 weeks.
17 weeks, 18 game total schedule for the NFL.
Baseball players are playing 162 games.
Right.
Like that's got to matter for something, right? Otherwise, play 70 games.
Right.
Because if you play all those games, after a while, you figure out who the better teams are, right? Who the top teams are. So you don't need to let a team that's 20 or 30 games behind you in the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, maybe they get hot or maybe they make a pick up at the very end and sneak in and I don't know. I'm not going to say it's not fair, if you let in more teams, but that long season has to count for something.
Right.
I mean, we had the Dodgers and Giants won 103 games each or 102 games each or 106 games, whatever it was. Like that's, it's good that the Dodgers got in. We'll put it that way. It's good that they were able to have a great season and get in because of the wild card. But adding extra rounds more than that is, it's rough.
And on Baseball Savant too, and MLB.com, they don't even have the players' faces anymore and news about the players. So, I mean, they're like, it's like the movie The Replacements. I did see this on Baseball Savant though, when I was doing Marcus Semien research. Alex, did you know this? Alex Rodriguez in his career, he's not clutch and he's this and he's that and he's the worst human being ever to live.
Yeah.
Did you know he hit 24 grand slams in his career?
Wow.
Pretty incredible, right? I know he played a long time.
Incredible.
He played 20 years, but 24 grand slams in his career. Unfortunately, he didn't do it enough in the postseason. But nevertheless.
And that's all anybody remembers.
Right. 24 grand slams, though. It's not bad.
That's a lot.
I know. I have a question for you. I heard this week, and we're going to get to a listener question, and a good one, too, as it pertains to Freddie Freeman here in a moment. But I heard this term this week. Let's expand on this. This is fun. Using the term born to hit, right? You hear scouts use it all the time, and you hear some general managers use it, and baseball people. Born to hit. What does that mean? And you hear coaches, obviously. What does that mean to you?
It means that when they were born.
Oh, God. I know where you're going. Oh, God.
No, it means guys that they just, I mean, sometimes I see it on Twitter. I'll see like a 5-year-old girl taking a swing, and I'm like, oh, what? Like, that's not normal.
Born to hit.
You know, or little kids, you know, little boys playing wiffle ball, and you're like, what? Yeah, born to hit. Some people find the barrel. Some people consistently find the barrel, regardless of what they're thinking and regardless of what their feet do and their stances and where they hold their hands. They can just hit. And I run across those people very few and far between. But it's kind of neat to see really at the young ages. It's cool to see like at that 12, 13, 14, where it's like they're just starting to mature a little bit. And it's just, they're just natural ball to, stick to ball kind of people. I had Bailey Hemphill in the last couple days at the lab as she gets ready for, her Olympic tryout. And, she's we were having a conversation. She's rusty, right? She doesn't, college athletes like softball, but they hit every day,
Right.
They hit, she's got a job, she's working.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were trying to get the rust off and stuff like that. And I said, you know what, you're just a different competitor too. When you get in the box, all those extra, outside influences, you're able to shut off rather easily. And some people can do that and some people can't. And we were going with, she was a little rusty, so she was a little late. I mean, we had the machine cranked. I mean, if you've ever seen like softball come out of a machine at 72 to 74 miles an hour, it's like stupid,
mm-hmm.
Like you don't even see it. And, so we're working at that velocity because, Abbott's going to be pitching to her, from, releasing the ball at like 30 feet and throwing 72 miles an hour. And it's crazy. But, at one point I was like, hey, how about you just like square a couple up? Let's not think about where your hands are. Let's not think about if you're drifting or your hip or this. How about you just like compete with this machine right now? And all of a sudden the thoughts went away and boom, it was barrel. And, obviously when you're an All-American and SEC player of the year, then you probably have that born to hit in there a little bit. But I totally agree. Some people are. Some people work to hit. Pete Rose worked to hit. Jimmy T worked to hit.
Yeah, and still didn't work.
I worked to hit. I worked to try to hit. And some people, it's what they're supposed to do. And I totally agree with that. And granted, what you don't know is those guys work their tails off,
right?
In order to do that. But they probably have a little bit better vision and quicker response time, eye-hand coordination than most people. It's funny, we have this little light system at the lab that we use for eye-hand coordination. How fast, you have 4 lights, and I had them get into their like defensive stance. They're kind of crouched over, ready for a ground ball, and then one light is blue, and then the others are distracting lights.
Right.
And they have to hit them, and it counts you off if you hit the wrong color, right? You get a minus. But how many can you get in 30 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at some players that are like really explosive hitting, like they hit the ball really well, and then they come over there, it's amazing how quickly their response time is from their eyes to their brain to their hands compared to other people their age. And there's could you call that athleticism? Are they better athletes because of that? I don't know, but they process information faster. And the faster they process the information, they're also processing that information of that pitch faster.
Do you use that with professional guys? Would you use that with pro guys, college guys as well? That apparatus, that vision training, whatever it's called.
Yeah, the faster you can get information from your eyes to your brain to your feet or to your hands, the faster those responders are, the better athlete you're going to be. I mean, you can be a tennis player, or
Right.
you're just reacting faster
so
to the information.
I don't want to sound ignorant. What is it called exactly? Because I don't want to.
We use there's one called FitLight.
Okay,
FitLight is one of them.
Okay.
We use Blaze Pod is another one.
So that's real science that's applicable or applicable.
Sure.
However you say that
sure.
word.
Yeah.
That's real science that's actually applicable to hitters and baseball rather than just some word salad type science that you see on social media.
Yeah, sometimes you see it at strength and conditioning, speed training. You'll see them set up, like a matrix, of like 6 of these, and they got to go from one to the other, using their feet. So you can use it as a workout. It's used for different things. We use that. Depends if we want to tire them out or not. Usually we're pretty tired taking a lot of swings for an hour and a half, but we're using it for cognitive feedback and how quickly we can process information.
I'm not just saying this because you're my podcast partner and friend, co-host, professional evaluator, successful business owner. How you're not with a major league organization as a minor league hitting coordinator is beyond me. It's beyond me. I don't get it.
Well, I think it's because
that you just came up with an innovative.
I mean,
that's probably why. Yeah. Sometimes you may look like that kid from The Sandlot. By the way, I watched that with my. I watched that with my dog the last week. Yeah, that's another good movie.
Yeah,
that
people are
keeps
going to
everybody
think
quiet.
you have bodies stored in the walls of your house.
It keeps everybody quiet. The Sandlot and Home Alone. They're two movies that I don't hear any squeaking, no dog noises, nothing. Good movies that we can put on and keep everybody calm.
Home Alone is playing in the other room of my house right now.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
I already got my Home Alone fix for the holiday season. All right, let's get to our listener question here. And again, by the way, where can they use that scientific piece of training? Where can they use it?
It's all part of our membership training at the Lab BCS in College Station.
Holy shit!
Yeah, we could
early promo.
We got it all going on down there. We implemented a new program for the younger classes, for the elementary classes. So they hit for half the time, but then we get them out on the field and we work on footwork and playing catch and fielding ground balls and learning how to play different positions the right way. And the kids are just totally digging it down there. And it's really great because sometimes you get 8, 9-year-old kids in the younger classes, and you can only take so many swings. So it's amazing you get kids that age and they don't know how to play first base, what foot to use, and they don't know where to throw the ball when they get it. So we've kind of added a little bit more baseball IQ to our elementary classes, and that was a lot of fun because the weather's good there. It was only like 75 every day.
And people can find the Lab BCS in College Station, Texas. The address 2018 Peach Creek Road, College Station, Texas 77845. The phone number 979-985-4462. Or you can just log on to I forget the website. I can't remember.
It's so difficult. The Lab BCS.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, you can just type it into Google. Boom, it's gonna come up.
You could, which is what I just did.
You can call us from there. You can click a link. You can view our 100% rating because we have good information and great instructors.
And of course, the prices of memberships and whatnot.
That group trading model is so cost effective for the player for the amount of reps and information that they get that it's fantastic.
All right, we got our Lab BCS promo.
Got it out.
We've got one more promo at the end of the show, but that's for a different Epstein hitting promo.
That's for the Epstein Children Christmas Fund.
That's right. All right, let's get to our listener question. This comes to us from Mike. Oh yeah, by the way, JJ wrote us in, and he says happy holidays. So
happy holidays. Keeping it easy, JJ.
That's right. He said he didn't want to interrupt our mechanical breakdowns with questions.
He's like, just get to it, boys.
Right. Can't blame him. All right. This comes to us from Mike. Don't know where he's from. That's okay. But it's from Mike. And he writes, Jim and Jake, I enjoy the mechanical breakdowns. Great stuff. Concerning Freddie Freeman's barrel dump. Could it be caused by his back leg angle? Would more of a bend in his back leg, like a younger Albert Pujols, flatten out his swing? Thanks. Happy holidays. And that is from Mike. And a great great question from Mike.
Yeah,
Very
you're not
astute
kidding.
and observant. Good job, Mike. Thank you.
So typically players that are wide base players, okay, very wide base, maybe short legs. Think about Justin Turner gets pretty wide. Think about Albert Pujols for sure gets pretty wide. Think about, sometimes Mickey Mantle, especially from the right side, had a much flatter swing. So the wider you are, the flatter your swing. It's just kind of how it is. The more narrow you are, and the less you sit down and get closer to the ground or closer to that low pitch, the more you have to drop the barrel to get to that pitch. So, you're using your hands more if you're upright to get to lower pitches.
If you're taller, you're saying.
If you're taller,
right.
Freddie Freeman has super long legs. Like, he's a tall guy, but he's all legs too. Like, he probably has a 36-inch inseam, maybe even more. So he would have to get extremely, extremely wide and able, to look like a Pujols, right? And I don't really think that's super feasible for him. But yes, typically players that are more upright, they have more room to cover between the top of the strike zone and the bottom of the strike zone, right? It's not as compact. So you're tall, you're upright, you have to find a way to cover it. So the only way you can really cover it is to drop the barrel more, is to increase your bat vertical angle a little bit more to get to it, where, maybe somebody that's wider and compresses the strike zone, they don't have to do that as much. So over the years, you're used to doing that, and then that's kind of a natural move. The key for somebody like that is which Freddie does really well, is to be able to adjust it. Like, okay, I'm not getting pitched down anymore. I'm going to look up here. I'm going to look up my next 2 at bats, because 8 out of the last 10 pitches I've had have been fastballs at the belt or the belly button. I need to be able to keep my barrel up, regardless of how wide my base is or how much I sit down on my back leg. I got to be able to control the barrel. So then he has the ability to do that, and he has the right approach, and he has the right mindset to do it. So to answer Mike's question, yes, if he sat down more and he was wider, but that's not him, like, that something like that isn't going to change at this point in his career, then he would definitely limit that. You wouldn't have to have that fluctuation in your vertical bat angle as much, from say -20 to -45. Somebody like Pujols is probably like -20 to -30 or -35. He probably only has like a 15-degree window that he has to do, where somebody that's taller might have like a 25 or 30-degree window between their vertical bat angle. So yeah, absolutely right. The more you sit down, typically the more upright your spine is, and the more upright your spine is, your posture is more upright, the flatter your swing is.
Really
Pujols was the best. My dad used to say this all the time. This guy's the best high ball hitter I've ever seen. Like, when he came up his first 10 years or so, he never missed a high pitch. And he was just set up for it. His body was set up for it. His stance was set up for it. His swing plane was set up for it. That's what we're good at.
Really quick, explain vertical bat angle for the audience that doesn't know exactly what that means.
So a point of contact, or actually through the swing, it's more important than actually point of contact. It's knowing what it's doing prior to point of contact, but it's the amount of drop between the knob of the bat and the barrel of the bat. So if the bat's coming through like this is the hitter, okay, and this is the knob, and this is the end of the barrel, that would be like a 0. I mean, that doesn't happen. That would be a 0-degree vertical bat angle. And then as the barrel drops, that'd be like a -45-degree vertical bat angle. You kind of want to be in that -20, 25 degrees.
I mean, how important is that if it relates to attack angle?
Very important. Yeah, it's one of the most crucial pieces. Typically a player that has a flatter attack angle, how much they're swinging up or down at contact, they'll compensate that with a vertical bat angle. So they'll drop their barrel. If they're not swinging up as much, they'll drop their barrel a little bit more to get to the bottom of the ball. Vice versa, players that swing up more, it's really important to try not to have too much of a vertical bat angle, because if you have a high attack angle and then you have a high vertical bat angle, you end up slicing a lot of balls to the opposite field.
So you want it to be the opposite, pretty much, kind of balance it out.
Typically they balance themselves out.
So really, vertical bat angle relates more to launch angle rather than attack angle.
It could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really, they go together. So a lot of times, for instance, probably not as much. If a player has a really big vertical bat angle, meaning they drop their barrel a lot, they'll have a really high high launch angle to the opposite field,
sure,
but they'll have a low launch angle to the pull side because they kind of come up and around it more. Yeah. And that's the worst thing that could possibly happen as a hitter. We want to have high launch angles to the pull side and lower launch angles to the opposite field.
Jimbo Podcast21 gmail.com. That's our email address. Thank you, Mike, for the email. I'm glad you brought up launch angle because there's something in regards to Semien that I want to bring up with his launch angle, and I think you might find this pretty interesting. A lot of StatCast advanced batting statistics I'm looking at over here that I want to bring up to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the show, our YouTube page, Live Epstein Hitting Podcast YouTube page, to watch full episodes, etc., etc. You know the deal by now. You know what it's like. Okay?
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. We're like Rogan. Getting there.
Yep.
We're getting there. We're almost there.
Almost there.
So Marcus Semien, and follow us on Twitter too, at Jim Tara, at Epstein Hitting, and Instagram, same handles. So that's what we're breaking down today. Mechanical Breakdown Series, Volume 19. Marcus Semien, who was a free agent, not anymore. Took a 1-year deal with the Toronto Blue Jays last offseason. Probably could have gotten maybe a 2-year deal, but got a 1-year deal and really produced. But some numbers I find pretty interesting. Age 31, he was 31 in 2021. He'll be 32 when the 2022 season, if ever, comes about. His barrel percentage, ready for this, Ep? I just I'm going to give you a lot of numbers here, so I hope that, I know you can react, but if I'm giving too many numbers, please tell me to shut up. Do the audience a favor. Barrel percentage, 9.8%, highest of his career. Exit velocity.
I like that stat.
You don't like it.
That's probably barrel percentage balls in play.
Right. So you think it's too broad. Right. I agree.
It doesn't. How many times do you swing and miss? That doesn't. Sure. That's not included in swing percentage. How many times does he foul balls off? That's not included. I watched some videos of Semien today. He fouled off like 4 good fastballs in a row. You know, like that doesn't. That's not affected in barrel percentage.
Well, strike percentage.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to go on a little bit of, not a rant, but I'm going to expand on this. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, Joey Gallo had a really high barrel percentage.
Are you going to keep ranting so I can look it up while you rant?
No, I'll look it up while you're doing.
I think you're probably right. And now his strike percentage was 20.2, Semien.
Mm-hmm.
So
his what? I'm sorry, strike out or
no, strike percentage. His K percentage.
Okay. This
according, by the way, everybody, to baseballsavant.com. You know, the website without any players' faces on. Is exit velocity, average exit velocity. Highest of his career, 89.8. Max velo, 109.5, also highest, whatever. Launch angle. Now, here's what you might find fairly interesting. And this could maybe go with when we look at his swing, his vertical bat angle too. Launch angle, highest of his career, 20.3. Previous high was 19.3 in 2020. That was up about 4 points from 2019 when it was 15.2. So what does that tell you right there? What the launch angle? I don't want to put too much stress on the launch angle. I believe more in attack angle than I do launch angle. That's just me. What does that launch angle, though, climbing year to year, last 2 years and hitting its peak right now of his career, 20.3, what does that really tell you about his swing and the adjustments he's made?
Oh, geez. It could be, there's so many different ways to get balls in the air. Mm-hmm. There's, it's taking into consideration your misses. So he's changed his misses from ground balls to fly balls. Essentially, that's what he's done by changing that average launch angle. So is he extending lower? Some people can swing down or finish down a little bit more to stay at the bottom of the ball. Some people dump their barrel a little bit more to get to the bottom of the ball. So yes, what you said with attack angle, hitting the ball in the air or hitting the ball on the ground isn't necessarily as simple as, I'm going to swing up or swing down more.
Right.
With players. It's where you're coming into the ball, and where you're finishing through it with your extension. So all I'm going to say that, makes sense, based on the numbers is his misses are now more in the air. Everybody's trying to hit line drive. Everybody's trying to hit the ball 15 to 25 degrees. Okay. That's what everybody's trying to do. But now when he misses, he's going to miss under, and he's going to miss at 40 degrees or 50 degrees in the air versus, a ground ball at, negative 10 degrees or negative 15 degrees. So again, like that can be a skewed number because pop-ups are 50, 60 degrees, right? And you're averaging that with maybe a negative 5 degree ground ball. Well, what does that average into? That averages at 30 degrees. So I don't know. I have to watch a player to see what they're doing. I'm going to go back to your boy Gallo here.
Sure.
He was in the top 3% of barrel, 18.1.
Right.
Top 5 in max exit velocity, and his average was 92.3. Would you rather have Joey Gallo or Marcus Semien?
That's a joke, right?
Yes.
Okay. How I'd rather have.
Joey, I know how you feel, but Joey Gallo is much higher in these numbers.
Well, that's my point. That's why, and I'm glad
twice as often.
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
They're only bringing in balls in play.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's why I sort of want to do this exercise, because last week I brought up Freddie Freeman's numbers, but that was based more so analytically off Fangraphs, which I think actually has more to do with his swing overall in general and maybe the approach, rather than say, for example, I'll give you an example really quickly here. So Kevin Kiermaier, I proposed a trade for a certain team for Kevin Kiermaier, and I made an argument as to why recently. And I said that his approach is in line based off him hitting the ball back up the box, up the middle, his pull percentage and his oppo percentage. That told me a little bit about his approach, and that he just needs
his
to tweak,
role.
Right. And he needs to tweak certain things, maybe mechanically. I'm not going to get into those things because it's going to take too long. Now, with the things that we mentioned here with Semien, again, I'm more of an attack angle than launch angle guy. That's fine, right? Some people will disagree, but the launch angle, to me, how much does that really tell you and dictate how good of a year Semien really, really had? I don't think it really does. I think that in this case, when you look at his numbers, I might not be
smart enough, but
I think when you look at his numbers traditionally, they'll tell you 173 hits, 45 home runs, 102 RBIs, OPS of 873, on base of 334, weighted on base of 368. And I don't have his isolated power in front of me, but the isolated power certainly is going to be well above average, probably around 240, 250. That tells you how good of a year Semien, and it backs up what he really did this year.
Yeah, no, he had a great year. I just, there's algorithms, right? You don't just look at average launch angle, right? You don't just look at, barrel average. There's other things you put together, but some people do. And I think you have to be smart and kind of understand what those numbers are if you're going to talk about numbers, or you just say, look, this guy hit 45 home runs or whatever he hit last year. What did he hit? 280, 270? I mean,
265.
He drove, what's that?
265.
265. Yeah, he drove in runs. He scored a lot of runs. He was in a really good lineup, and he was in a good park to hit. So, was this an anomaly kind of year for him? I don't know. Only time will tell. I will say, we'll look at his swing. And I looked at a couple different things. I did want to ask you something, because again, I couldn't pull as many swings as I wanted to today, but did he...
Before you ask, may I just bring up another statistic?
I might forget, Jim.
All right, you ask first then.
No, go ahead.
All right.
Still might forget them.
I don't know how. I wish, you know what? Hold on. Let me do quick math here. This is quick math. Hold on.
Said no one.
Okay. All right. So last year, Semien saw, this is according to Baseball Savant, so I don't know. You can take it for what it's worth. It's a good website. I like it. I always read it, but
yeah, I like it.
We did an episode on it too for those listening and watching. So go back.
Long time ago.
Go back in the archives. It's like almost 2 years ago at this point. 1,614 fastballs Semien saw in 2021. I did the math. Breaking balls, off speed total. He saw 1,000. I'm sorry. I can't read it. Okay. So breaking balls and off speed total. He saw 1,262. So he saw more fastballs than he did. And that's to your point in the lineup he was in. He saw more fastballs in 2021, third most in his career, behind 2019 and 2016. Got a lot of fastballs.
You got a lot of fastballs. Yeah, but I mean, you still got to hit them.
Yeah.
And you still got to lay off the breaking balls. Still got a lot of breaking balls. And
he was in there, but to your point though about the lineup he was in too, he had a lot of protection, and he got a chance to see a lot of fastballs. He was hitting behind an MVP.
He absolutely had a much better lineup last year than he had his entire career. So how is that gonna come through when he's gonna be the dude? I guess they got other dudes. They have one other dude.
Two other dudes.
Who's the other dude?
I'm not gonna tell you. We did a mechanical breakdown series. Are you talking about the Blue Jays or the Rangers?
Rangers.
Oh, okay. They got one dude.
They got Seager. I don't know anything about the Rangers, unfortunately. I'll have to dig into that a little bit more. But
all right, you're right.
He's going to be the guy. He and Seager's the guy. Hopefully Seager stays healthy. And then it's not just Semien in there. I think it'd be awesome if they got Trevor Story to throw in there too. That'd be pretty sweet offensive lineup in there with some speed. So I think what was his contract? Semien's contract. What did it come out to?
Shit.
4 years.
No, I think it was like might have been 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For whatever reason, when I was doing some prep for the show today, I hold on, I gotta look. I thought he signed a 10-year deal. Well, that was Seager. A 7-year, 175. Wow. So I said somebody the other day. I said Chris Bryant should get probably 5 over 100 plus. I mean, Chris Bryant should probably get like 7. I'm probably wrong. I probably shortchanged him because he's flexible defensively too.
He's very flexible defensively. Well, Semien is too. Semien can play some other positions.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe for Bryant it should be like 7 over like 200 million. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, what I was going to say earlier was, how did Semien finish last year?
Is that your question?
That's my question. Like, what was the last? So his swing looked a little bit different early in the year versus later in the year. Like when they were in Florida, it seemed like it was a little bit
Tampa Bay,
a little bit flatter, a little bit more extension.
Right.
Where later in the year, it looked like he was swinging up a little bit more, and kind of had a little bit more barrel drop and less extension out in front. So this one here's the swing we're going to look at, the cool swing, because it's a breaking ball. Hold on. I want to answer your question. Yeah. I don't want to rush you. You can edit. We can always edit this.
I'm not editing shit.
You can edit.
I'm just kidding. Okay. The home and away splits, by the way, I'm not really counting because they weren't really home.
No, I just mean the last 6 weeks of the season. Does it break up? So he hit between April and March, he hit 211. In May, he hit 368. June hit 264. July 239. August 237. September, October 260. But there was a lull in there between, I guess, a stretch. Yeah. I don't know. I'd say like probably a 4-week stretch, if you want, however much weight you put in batting average between July and August, maybe where he dipped just a little bit. And that's probably why his batting average came out to where it did at 265. Yeah, because the part where I really liked where his swing was, they were playing in Dunedin, or I don't know. It's the Tampa, the spring training complex? Dunedin, yeah. Anyway, he was hot. Like he was so hot. He was hitting doubles, home runs, like everything, left center, right center, hitting it high, hitting it like he was all over the place. So it was really great. And then late in the year, but again, it was whatever, I don't know how late in the year, he changed, but as a hitting coach, I guess that's what you have to really, a good hitting coach should see that trend. Here's where you are. I've said this before. Dave Winfield. Oh, was it Dave Winfield? No, I don't know. I think it was Dave Winfield. He used to videotape himself when he was in a hot streak, like talking to the camera. Hey, Dave, this is what I'm feeling today. I feel like my hands are here, my feet are here. I'm looking for this pitch. And then he would archive all those stuff. So all those things. So when he would go into a slump and he wasn't hitting well, he would start playing those and try to get that feel back, whatever he was thinking about when he was in a hot streak. Well, that's what a good hitting coach does. Let's see what your approach is right now. Like, where's your barrel? Where's your extension point? Where's your timing? Where's everything? And then maybe that 4-week stretch where he was hitting 211, maybe that 4-week stretch was a 2-week stretch, and that's where a good hitting coach comes in, and having that relationship with the player is, let's figure out, yes, we know you're hitting the ball well. Like, my mom could tell that you're hitting the ball well right now, but why are you not hitting the ball well here? There's different things, and making it simple for that player to come out. But anyway, getting back to his swing, I see different moves, which is good. I always like to see different moves. I like to see when guys get fooled. How do they save their swing when they're fooled on a breaking pitch and they're not looking for a breaking pitch? Like, to me, that says a lot. Are they trying to change their approach? Like, late in the year, was he trying to get under balls a little bit more, versus being a line drive gap hitter? So, it kind of depends. So do you have anything else, or do you want me to get after this analysis here?
No, I'm good. Ready? We're going to get after it in 3, 2,
1. Here we go. All right. So we got Marcus Semien here in the greatest uniform ever. The Blue Jays, the old light blues. We love it. So this was a slider, just so you know. So he was a little bit out in front. And if we look at where he made contact, holy cow, that is way out in front. That is how you save swings. When you're able to be that early. Now, granted, it's going to look more out in front because of the angle. This is taken from slightly behind the batter. Okay, it was hard to find a perfect side view, but regardless, this is well out in front of his front foot. It's a breaking ball, and the catcher is kind of reaching out. So it's not like an inside breaking ball. It's probably center cut. Maybe a ball, 4 or 5 out there towards the outside part of the plate, but he's able to launch that. So what's cool about this, let's talk about contact. We talk about launch angle, right? We talked about how he's hitting the ball. His average launch angle was 20-something degrees, right? It was a little bit higher. So I'm going to draw a line on the trajectory of this pitch from this angle. So you can see it's closer to 9 degrees, right? Our fastballs are usually around 4 degrees. Okay. But where does his barrel go? Notice how his barrel goes just slightly underneath. So one frame before contact, I'm going to put a circle on where his barrel is, and you can see it's barely underneath. Now, that location is a pretty good place to make contact on a breaking ball or a fastball, hitting it closer to your front foot. If it's middle away, like, he's not on plane there, but he could be on plane there. Okay. So this would be, where he's exposed a little bit. However, in the next frame, he comes up slightly, and I'll put a number on that. From that dot to contact, he swung up at 15 degrees, got the bottom half of the ball, and then that ball launched it. Good Lord, it's so high. It was probably 35 to 36 degrees off the bat. Okay. So he came from underneath. This is more of a true power hitters, but it's slight. A true power hitter's approach, where that barrel gets a little bit underneath the pitch plane, which you want it to do a little bit. And then he comes back up. But the cool part is, as he comes back up, he extends through. So look at his extension point. This is so good. So this is a guy this is why you don't have to swing up that much to hit balls in the air. His right hand and his barrel are actually facing down, and his right palm is still up. So that barrel is still below his hand. Now, if he would have got back here to this frame and flipped his wrist over, his barrel would have gone up like that. Okay. And then what would happen? He would end up top spinning that to the pull side. So this is a great example of, hey, if you swing up too much at contact, he could have hit a 2-hopper to the third baseman. But because he stayed flat, he didn't swing down. Don't get me wrong there. Like, he's just swinging up less. But a lot of people that far out in front are going to be 20 degrees or more with their attack angle. And he was only at 15 that far out in front. That's really good. So now if this was a fastball, okay, there's a fastball coming in. Now it's not, so, don't get upset. If there's a fastball, that ball is only going to drop, say, 4 degrees at that level. Okay, so it would be on this plane, and you could see he would be exposed even more. Now, if you look at where his barrel is here, okay, he would be exposed more. Maybe that's why he got more fastballs this year. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Nobody knows except for the people that were calling the pitches. Okay, so when I look at his swing, and I see things like this, even though it was a breaking ball, it's a really nice swing on a breaking ball, but I don't know if this is a sustainable swing. I don't know if this is a sustainable guy for 7 years that's going to hit more than 30 home runs a year.
Why do you say that?
That's going to hit over 260. I'm not sure. It might be. But for 7 years, for 3 years, no brainer. For 7 years, because what happens is you have to have elite quickness to make these little adjustments. When your swing's on, and we're looking at one swing here, by the way. Okay, so I'm judging all of this on one swing, which you should never do. But based on this swing and some of the other swings that I did see on the internet, there are holes in this swing, and there's holes in everybody's swing. There's holes. There's not holes in like 5 guys' swings in Major League Baseball. Okay, so,
and me, there's no holes in my swing.
Okay, but breaking this swing down fundamentally. Okay, fundamentally, I'm going to bring him from. It's excellent, by the way, from stride to toe touch. Okay, just so good. Front shoulder is still down. Knob is still kind of back towards the catcher. He's still got good separation between his elbows and forearms here. I bring him to heel plant. Front shoulder is still down. Hands are still back. Top of the top hand is at the ear. Back shoulder is still up. There's a gap. There's an opening here between his elbow and his ribs. Then when he goes to rotate, watch how quiet his elbows are. We talk about this a lot, right? Okay, as he rotates, there's still good separation between these elbows and forearms. Okay, the bat, this is what I really like. This bat stays up kind of by his ear. Okay, there's no dump in this swing. There's no dump. That's what I like about this swing is he may have been underneath this pitch, but he didn't dump the barrel to get underneath it. Okay, there wasn't any mechanical issue that caused him to go underneath it. He just kind of got underneath it, maybe because his mindset is, I'm trying to get under pitches, which is maybe why his average attack angle was so much higher this year. Maybe that was his thought process. If I miss, I'm going to foul it back, and he did. I looked at a few at bats today, and he fouled a lot of fastballs back. This year, if you go back and see it, I'm sure he did because he was just trying to get under stuff. So what is the key to good hitting? Hey, I'm getting fastballs. I'm fouling them off. Maybe he goes into a slump, right, where he had a rough month, and he's like, you know what? I gotta, instead of my barrel coming in this way to this pitch. So I'm drawing lines now, Jim. I know you can't see them yet, but instead of having a plane that looks like that, maybe his plane comes in a little shallower, like this, and like this, and like that. Okay. And then all of a sudden, instead of having a rough couple weeks or a rough couple months of fouling off good pitches, now he's hitting line drives back to the middle. Maybe now he's hitting line drives into right center. And then he's feeling good about himself. And then all of a sudden we can start hitting for more power again. That's the old adage. Oh, you're in a slump, take you back through the middle. Right? That sounds stupid in today's age, right? It does. Like, people don't do that anymore. But why did that get you out of slumps? Because it simplified everything, because you weren't trying to overswing and drive balls out of the park. You were just trying to control the barrel to hit a line drive back through the middle. And probably by doing that, you made this automatic little swing adjustment between the top plane I drew here and the bottom. The bottom plane is the one he's on. Okay. May have come in a little bit back here. I may have goofed a little bit, but you can see he drops down to that other arrow. If he would have stayed up from this arrow to that arrow, okay, I'll just kind of draw it like that. If he would have flattened off that one frame, he likely would have minimized his slump just a little bit more. Okay, so again, that's kind of a lot of information and little things, but the moral of the story is the guy's got a good swing. He's got a good path and great extension. This front knee didn't straighten out here, probably because he was out in front, right? We talked about that. He was out in front a little bit on this breaking ball. How cool is it to be out in front a little bit on a breaking ball and still hit a home run? Okay, that's why extension without, adjusting the barrel too much, without flipping, or having a right hand connection is so very important.
So a couple of things I noticed, and the body types are different, and maybe it's the angle at which this clip is taken. But Semien, through the point of contact, through extension, and then his finish, very, very similar to Jose Abreu.
Yeah.
Notice that?
Yeah. And I like Abreu too.
Yeah. The extension and the high finish, as you mentioned, alluded to earlier, very, very similar.
Yeah.
Also, too, this pitch misses by a lot. You can see the catcher's mitt. The way the mitt is set up, he's sweeping it up to try to bring it back up to the bottom of the zone. That's where he's expecting it. And I mean, it was missed like bell high, that pitch.
Right.
Bad pitch.
And that's, if that's a slider at the bottom of the knees, it's a different story. But, we get mistakes. Again, that's the key to good hitting, is capitalizing on the pitches you get to hit. Mm-hmm. Not fouling them off, not taking them, not rolling over them, not popping them up. And that's great hitting right there. He may have had 2 strikes on him, right? Fouled off a couple pitches, then he got a slider. The guy didn't make a good pitch on it. Saved his whole at bat, gave him a nice game. Maybe put a couple runs on the board. Oh, I lost Jim. Do you know that your audio is off right now?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
The whole show almost. We can edit that.
Yeah. You have anything else on Semien? You can keep talking as I try to reset up.
Semien, I like him. I like him as a flexible fielder. He's a good athlete. If I were playing GM, which I know that question is coming, because you made fun of me last time, Jake, would you just sign all the free agents? I'm not sure I would have made a 7-year deal for that amount of money to Marcus Semien, even though I really like him. But I think I would have given him a 4-year deal and maybe thrown him an extra $1 million, a year or something like that. Now, I'm sure a lot of teams try to do that, and the Rangers are like, we need players. And I think they overpaid for this one, in my opinion. And that's why I'm here and I'm not a general manager. But I might be right here.
All right. Well, hopefully people can hear me.
Yep.
If not, okay. My microphone.
And you're not yellow. You look great.
My microphone's apparently broken or something's wrong with it. All righty. So next week we are discussing good job on that, by the way. We're discussing Chris Bryant, his swing, Mechanical Breakdown Series Volume 20. He is still left on the board. Very flexible defensively as well. Chris Bryant. Yeah. We're putting him as a third baseman though.
Okay.
That's next week. But he could play left field. He could play first base. He could be a DH. Whoa.
Right. And
that's next week.
Younger. How old is? Wow. I don't want to know.
He's 29.
Yeah, he's young. He's under 30.
Under 30.
Yeah.
All right. Give me some more info about Epstein's Online Hitting Academy, please, before we let everybody go.
Well, it's the Christmas gift that keeps on giving, Jim.
Mm-hmm. And?
No, I got to catch up. So my apologies for all my Epstein Online Hitting members. I was very, very busy in Texas the last week, so I haven't had a chance to do them in the last couple of days, but I will get them done. You probably actually got them by the time this podcast airs. But yes, Online Academy is awesome. Like I got a drill library of 80, 100 videos in there. Some are drilled, some big league hitters that you can kind of look at and scrub through and see in slow motion and compare to yourself. And essentially what you do is you video yourself doing during your games. I do a full review, kind of like I just did on Marcus Semien, where I can check your timing, your rhythm, your mechanics. And then from there, we create a plan every week for you to do, which drills to do, which drills to work on. to improve your swing. That's how it works.
So
EpsteinOnlineAcademy.com, or just go to EpsteinHitting.com.
Bingo. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening, watching, and we will talk to you next week. Chris Bryant, Mechanical Breakdown Series Volume 20. Take care. Bye. Bye.